So why does the mountain biker care about FTP? Well, in the last 14 months or so, I've had 12, 13 rides on my mountain bike. Not very many, and it doesn't get me fitter. Using FTP means that I have a base number, data, that I can use to see how my fitness is improving, and I can use that number to set a training plan so that I can get fitter. So what did 4 weeks of base training do to my FTP? Wee bit of background, got my road bike in November 2022. I did my first ramp test using Wahoo System X January 7th, and I get an FTP of 168. Right. This is unfit, slightly overweight, middle-aged man. With the road bike, I was able to cycle a lot more. So almost 900 minutes in December, same in January, increasing in February, a bit less in March, and then up to 1300 in April. And in May, I did another half Monty ramp test. This time I got an FTP of 195 and my map had increased to 244 watts. I had got fitter. I could feel this when I was on my mountain bike. When we went up Benin, I found that a lot easier than what I had in the past. Still had issues with my asthma, but muscle and leg wise, I was perfectly fine. Then we can look at my activity. From around July, it just starts to go down to December, where I hardly did any. I started back in January, but I got an knee injury and hardly did anything in February. So for around 3 months, I did very little cycling, and I could tell I was losing fitness. So at the start of March, I did another ramp test, and I got 166 watts from FTP, and my mat was 203 watts. This is very similar to what I got when I first started with my road bike. So I dropped almost all my fitness. And if we look at my heart rate, it only went up to 160. It was my muscles that gave out. I could not give any more of my muscles rather than my cardiovascular system. So I wanted to improve my base, and I did 4 weeks of just purely base training. I did not go any harder than around 65% of my FTP, and I did around 1200 minutes in March. So after 4 weeks of just doing zone 2, what I've done was improved my FTP by around 6%, so 11 watts, and my MAP by around 10%, which is 21 watts. What I noticed was that I was able to sustain for longer, so my muscles didn't give out before my cardiovascular system did, and I was around 5 beats per minute faster at the end of the ramp test before. So what does that actually mean? Well, at my fittest, I had an FTP of 198 watts, so I've still got a wee bit to go on that, and at my highest watts per kilo, I was at 2.58. When I did my fitness test back in March, I was down at 2.11 watts per kilo. A combination of increase in FTP and a loss of weight has meant my watts per kilo has went up to 2.36, which is an increase of 11%, which is pretty decent. It's not a huge amount, but it's an improvement, and I can feel it. Thanks for watching.